to hear is a bit about how did you become this incredible person that you are, the leader that you are. Where did you start from? I mean, you didn't obviously, you weren't, as a young kid, you didn't say, I'm going to be the head of a huge company like that. So how was your life?
Well, coincidentally, I was born in Jamshedpur.
You were?
Yeah. But we left Jamshedpur when I was 2 years old, so I had no memory of the place. My dad worked in telco, what was then telco, for 10 years. So I had a Jamshedpur connect through the albums that we used to have at home. I used to see these photographs with no memory of the place. So anyway, so it was this exotic place I was born in, but I had no idea what it was like. We moved down south. I grew up in Coimbatore. My dad was there. And he was a foundry guy. He was a telco foundry. It was the foundry capital in some sense of India. So we grew up there. I went for my engineering to REC Trichy and then went to AMCAL. And then joined Tata Steel. Okay. So, yes, as you said, it's not that you start your life saying you want to become, you want to do well, but you don't have a specific thing that you want to become a CEO or not. You don't even know if you're capable of becoming a CEO, right?
So were you a TAS person or were you?
No. So I joined Tata Steel at a time when Rusi Modi was there.
Oh.
So he used to recruit directly particularly from IIM Calcutta for a few years. Every year, 3 or 4 of us joined. So that was 88. So for me at that time, in some sense, I wanted to join an organization which had something to do with my engineering, So because options those days there were no consulting, investment banking kind of jobs. It was more consumer marketing, which was very popular. IT was just about starting, right? And durables a bit, and that's it. And Tata Steel was at that time one of the most respected companies in the country, and seemed to offer a good career. Mr. Modi was flamboyant, and it looked like a fun company to work for. And actually, at that time, they were also looking at growing the international business. That kind of interested me. And I said, okay, let's join for a few years and figure out how it works, And that's how I joined Tata Steel, and never thought I would spend the rest of my life there. But that's my only job. 35 years now.
That's like a record. I mean,
this is my 35th year, 1988 to 2023.
Wow. Incredible.
Yeah. So, but I think as a company, we invest in people, and I am a recipient of that investment in some sense. So you get multiple exposures, opportunities to work in different geographies, different parts of the company.
So you pretty much came from ground up all the way.
I joined as a management trainee and worked my way up. Yeah, and I think that's I think in some sense the greatness of the Tata Group and Tata Steel. Pretty much, even if you look at someone like Chandra, he's joined TCS in 1987, I think, and worked his way up, right? So I think anyone, and that's something we proudly say in Tata Steel, anyone can join at any level in Tata Steel and can go to a level. We are not saying it's an easy ride or it's a perfect company, no, but the opportunities are there.
You worked with Dr. J.J. Irani as well.
Absolutely. So started with Mr. Modi, then that was just 4 years, in some sense, during his leadership. Then Dr. Irani very closely, then Mr. Muthuraman, then Mr. Nerurkar. In 2013, I got picked for this job.
Wow, that's a big honor. So 25 years from zero to...
Yeah, I was 48 when I became the CEO.
That's one of the youngest.
Yeah, I was the youngest. So that's why, in some sense, that was the example I was giving earlier. At 48, I was the youngest CEO of Tata Steel, but my daughter was working for a company and said anyone over 35 is old. So so that's why there is a big difference between some of the newer companies and companies like us. So.
And who would be your role models for you when you were, growing up and when you were in your career?
You mean in Tata Steel or outside Tata Steel?
Anywhere.
So, honestly, in Tata Steel, I've learned from the multiple people I've worked with. Not just the CEOs, but my different bosses at different points in time. And I think I've always made a habit of, in some sense, mentally keeping a list of what I liked about them and what I didn't like about them. And promising myself that I will try to be the person I wanted my bosses to be, right? And that's to me, a great way to keep learning yourself and developing yourself.
You know, that will also be shaped by your fundamental values, which must have been shaped even earlier than that.
Yeah. And beyond that, if I reflect back on my own life and upbringing, of course, your parents influence you a lot in many different ways. But I think my grandparents also influenced me very significantly. Both my maternal and paternal grandparents. It's not that you spend a lot of time with them, but and you also don't realize till much later that they've influenced you, right? So I think my paternal grandfather certainly was somebody who had a big influence, I think, on my value system, a bit of idealism. He was a freedom fighter. He was a very successful politician, and but he gave up politics when India won independence. So he was a Gandhian in some sense of it, not some sense of it, he was a very committed Gandhian. So I think he encouraged me to read a lot about the freedom movement. He used to subscribe to these small books. There used to be 5 books which used to come to me every month. 20-30 page book on all the freedom fighters and the freedom movement, and I must have been 6, 7, 8, 9, that age, pretty young, and so he used to talk to me a lot, and those days I used to get impatient because that was eating into my playing time and all that, but I think when I reflect back, a lot of, let's say, idealism, principles, values, sticking to your conviction, etc., comes from some of those conversations that we had, and the books that he
Did he tell you stories about Gandhi?
Yeah, because he was so my grandfather joined the freedom movement, I think, in 1918 or 19, or soon after, when Gandhiji came back to India. I think he met Gandhiji in Chennai or somewhere. I think one of the incidents was that I think when Gandhiji was traveling around, and there was some toilet, and Gandhiji started cleaning the toilet or something like that, and my grandfather was a lawyer by profession, and he realized, he kind of was very inspired by the whole thing and the simplicity of the man. Gandhiji was also a lawyer, and kind of got hooked onto it, and in some sense he joined the freedom movement then. Of course, spent many years in jail, and he was in politics, and he was also, so those days Kerala state was Cochin state, Travancore state, and Malabar state. It was 3 states before independence, and he was actually, just before independence, he was the Diwan of Cochin state, my grandfather. And but then after independence, he just gave up politics and decided to lead a quieter life. And of course, he was connected to many social causes, etc. But
So I'm hearing from whatever you're saying, kind of a greatness coming from sheer simplicity and modesty, which is, and there's some hugeness in this. What you're saying, actually. Somebody just give up something because my job is done.
Yeah.
I don't need to have to hold on to the power.
Yeah, absolutely. So he was fairly well known in Kerala politics at that time, and people like Mr. Karnakaran, etc., used to work under him at that time. And much later in life, when Mr. Karnakaran was a chief minister, when my grandfather was in his late 80s and he was getting old and obviously a bit difficult to handle, he insisted that my father take him to meet Mr. Karnakaran, because he wanted to tell him a few things on how to run
Who is that?
the state. Mr. Karnakaran was the chief minister of Kerala at that time. He was a very senior Congress leader. And so my dad drove him all the way to Trivandrum because he just insisted that. And then my dad very hesitantly went and told somebody there that, my dad is so and so. And Mr. Karnakaran immediately called him, sat him down, talked to him, heard him out, indulged him. And then. So I think he had a fair amount of respect from that generation of leaders who were young during the freedom movement. My grandfather was older, he must have been in his 40s when India got independence, or whatever, 50s, 40s, 50s. So, but like you said, he had no craving for power. I never saw a politician in his house, or I think he kind of, in some sense,